Every dog has his day.
Scarface was hated right from the beginning, hated by the industry. I remember screenings where people were walking out and cursing our names up and down the aisles.
Hollywood didn't want to acknowledge it as this is representative of our filmmaking, of what our great filmmakers are doing. It's not a human story that everybody can relate to. It's fucking Dante's Inferno.
I took you out to fucking hell!
The audience responded as we had hoped they were to respond. At that point, I knew we had something special.
I'm Tony Montana, a political prisoner from Cuba. And I want my fucking human right now.
When I was watching it, I knew I was watching something special. I loved it. I don't know what about it made me love it so much. I was like, oh my God, I want to watch this movie again and again and again and again.
It really does feel like the best of Brian De Palma combined with the best of Oliver Stone and the best of Al Pacino, these three icons of American filmmaking.
The movie came out in 1983, really in the middle of the cocaine wars in Miami, so it was very much about contemporaneous history.
It was a time when this country was immersed in cocaine.
Scarface gave you the license to experience it as a grand, operatic, over-the-top movie.
This film pushed the borders of outrage on every single level.
It was shocking in its day, and I'm sure if you see it for the first time today, it's shocking. It influenced me 100%, no question about that. That reality, that fast-turning ugliness.
I can remember the feeling of shockwaves, you know, that this is something that you don't feel that often in movies.
I buried those cockroaches!
It has embodied that kind of cult following. It rivals that of a rock band that's been around for 40 years. Just that one movie.
So say good night to the bad guy. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
Blown away, man. Blown away.
When Scarface came out, I had just started reviewing movies for the Wall Street Journal, and I was very excited, a Brian De Palma movie, and I was going to be the one to pass judgment on it. And as it turned out at the time, there was a big controversy over whether the movie should have been rated X for violence. And so my review reflected the controversy, it reflected my own feelings about the movie, which were mixed. I thought it was incredible. I thought it then went crazy. It just felt like it had blown apart at the end. You know, it was very funny because people read my review and they either denounced me for praising the movie or denounced me for not liking the movie.
In the New York Times, Vincent Canby was a pretty mixed to positive review. He saw a moral lesson in the movie. Pauline Kael, who was a great champion of De Palma, did her best to kind of tease out as much praise as she could from a movie that she felt was a kind of compromised version of De Palma's vision.
I do remember the critics making this big deal about the violence in the movie and, you know, going after De Palma with charges of misogyny and too much violence in movies. You know, I always admired De Palma as a kid for sticking to his vision and, you know, literally sticking to his guns.
I think that to a certain extent, Scarface was about the film industry, you know, and I think that in his depiction of the gangsters around Tony Montana.
We're gonna do this one deal, that's it.
Okay, fuck you. How's that?
I think that's how he looks at studio executives.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
I had just made a very difficult, very unsuccessful picture, Blowout. I was kind of wanted to move into a different world. I was hoping to make a more commercial picture by making a gangster picture. I'd never done one before. And this was such a great script that I said, hey, I can do this.
I've always been a fan of Brian De Palma's. He truly was a storyteller, and I thought he could do the story better than anybody else.
Are you ready for some good news? Are you ready for some good news, man? Sure, what you got, man?
When the movie opened, there were all these articles about how this is going to be the most violent movie ever made. And I begged my dad, I said, we have to go see this. And my father took me to see it opening weekend, and my jaw was on the ground. I was completely mesmerized.
I'm gonna carve him up real nice.
You know, it was such a beautifully made film and a beautifully acted film that I just sat there as a wannabe filmmaker, sort of watching the processes that they brought to this thing.
You know something about cocaine?
What, you kidding me or what?
I'm Cuban, so growing up in a, Cuban community and everything, it had like a, the working class Cuban really upset. Even just giving up a hint that we wanted to see it could get you slapped by my dad. But I think that it's something that had to be shown, it had to be seen. It was real.
You got good stuff here.
I went and I saw Scarface in the hood. I was in the black neighborhood. It was West Philadelphia on the big screen, and it was one of those movies where you could yell back at the screen, and people went, "Oh, no!" And it just, everybody, was engaged in the movie.
I remember everything about Scarface. I was too young to get into theater. Up in Canada, it was restricted, and it was all anyone was talking about was this movie Scarface, that people were walking out of the theaters, that critics panned it, and I thought, I have got to see this movie.
Le cose fondamentali della mia vita, cioè aver imparato a nuotare, aver letto Primo Levi, giocare a pallone, amare, guardare, aver visto Scarface.
We had a friend of ours that somehow got a copy of a Scarface on VHS.
Coño, qué rica!
We would ditch school when their parents would go to work. We would ditch school and, grab a bunch of 40 ounces and stuff and go to her house and watch Scarface. And wow, man, we watched it like every day for like 2-3 months.
It was everything that I thought it would be and more, because I came from another country. It was the dream, the American dream, and it represented all of that for me. And I had no idea that 6 years later I'd be living in Miami Beach, living my dream.
This is paradise, I'm telling you.
¿Cómo se llama?
Antonio Montana. And you? What you call yourself?
The image of Al Pacino in one of those bright, colorful, tropical tourist shirts, but then the sneer and the scar was a perfect symbol. That was the Jekyll and Hyde character of Miami and its reputation at that time.
There's nothing you can do to me that Castro has not already done.
Get him out of here!
Watching it, you believe Pacino is Cuban. As you go through it, you're not looking at the actor, you're looking at Tony Montana, the person, and he's Cubano. And he just captured so many things, Them working in the sandwich spot and making Cuban sandwiches at medianoches.
Si viene sandwich, man.
Drinking the little espresso shots. There's just so many elements in there, what it is to be a Cubano and the whole experience that went on in those years.
Man, you're pushing your luck, okay?
Don't worry.
That was dumb, man.
Hey, Harold, you worry too much, You're gonna have a heart attack.
I used to bug Al. All the performances, all the characters you've done, as great and as incredible as they are, like, what are they gonna think of fucking Tony Montana? Have you thought about it? And he'd be like, they're either gonna hate it or they're gonna love it.
Now you're talking to me, baby. That I like.
You cannot take your eyes off him when he's on screen. It's impossible. He's never in the moment. He's always a step ahead of everybody else.
She like me.
How do you know?
The eyes, Chico. They never lied.
I think my favorite scene in the movie might be when he's in a car with Stephen Bauer. And Stephen said, "Oh, what about the boss?" He said, "The boss, he's soft. That guy's soft." Fucking love that.
That guy's soft.
And I grew up like that.
Look in his face.
If a guy like that smells weakness, it's a wrap. They're gonna eat your ass up. And when I saw that moment between those two, I fell in love with that guy there.
Me, I want what's coming to me.
Oh, well, what's coming to you, Tom?
The world, Chico. And everything in it.
Every actor that was chosen made a really conscious effort to attack this story with absolute truth. And here we are, and the performances stand. All of them. I mean, all, like bang, 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 all of them.
When I was younger watching the movie, I just wanted the hot chick. Like Michelle Pfeiffer. It was just like, yeah, that's what you want.
Michelle Pfeiffer, she's almost like a kind of Barbie doll that's still in its case when she comes out there. And she was initially just used as a beautiful object.
Oh, she was, a beauty, marvelous. She was high on her own supply, all right.
There's a shot that slow zoom on Michelle Pfeiffer where she's sitting at her makeup table there in front of the mirror, and she's doing cocaine. And by the time the shot settles, she's had a cocktail and taken a hit off a cigarette. And you live like that. And a lot of people did in Miami at the time. It takes its toll.
Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio was incredible as Gina.
You got some nerve, Tony! You think you can come in here now and tell me what to do?
She represented the innocence. That's all she wants, is to have Tony's love and affection and be part of the ride.
I'm all yours now.
I think you and me, we can work this thing out.
Also, I like the actor that said, "Whatever you do, Tony, don't fuck me, Tony."
Don't you ever try to fuck me.
I did a movie a while ago where I played a Colombian drug dealer, and I took that guy's accent. Don't ever fuck me, Tony.
Even the very small parts. I mean, people with 1 and 2 lines in that movie are wonderful.
Hello, Tony. Every day above ground is a good day.
They're all archetypes in some way, every character. You know, in some movies, all you want to look at is the star, and in Brian's movies, everybody to a certain extent becomes a star.
When you're dealing with actors of this level, you basically set them on the road and just get the hell out of the way.